Fala galera, bem-vindos ao Flow Games mais uma vez. Eu tô aqui com meu amor, tudo bom, Thaís? Tudo bem?
Oi, tudo bem aí, seus lindos?
E hoje é uma das coisas mais excepcionais que já aconteceu na nossa vida profissional aqui, tá? Porque se você acompanha a gente, você sabe o quanto que a gente já falou desse cara no nosso programa, você sabe o quanto ele foi importante pra PlayStation em toda a sua história, e ele tá aqui com a gente vai poder ter essa oportunidade de entrevistar Shuhei Yoshida e conversar com ele sobre PlayStation, sobre carreira, sobre tudo, aqui na Gamescom. Agradecer a Gamescom também, que deu essa oportunidade pra gente de estar aqui falando com eles, tá bom? Então, eu vou começar agora, a gente vai fazer em inglês, tá certo? Vai ser legendado, tá bom, galera? Tudo em inglês, tá bom? Então, vamos lá. Hello, Yoshida-san. It's amazing having you here. It's a major honor for us having you here and having you in Brazil as well. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。
Tell us a little bit about this is your second time here in Brazil. How are you liking it, and how do you see video games in Brazil? Because there are not so many companies that come here like this and see the games. I know that you were in a big festival and watch a lot of indie games. How is it been for you?
Yeah, so I was here 3 years ago, big festival. And that was the year, big festival moved from a smaller venue to a larger place. And I saw a lot of, games from Brazil and Latin America. And I also saw scout people from many indie publishers there. So I felt there's attention from global indie publishers to games coming from this region. So I was very excited to see, some of the games developed here, and especially couple of games I saw 3 years ago, subject matter related to this region specifically. So I was very excited to see these games. And the 3 years, later, the indie game scene is even bigger globally, and there are many, new developers coming out, especially these days, the games coming from Asia, like China and Korea, very high quality, and Southeast Asia, and even India or Middle East. So, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I should go back to Brazil to check out, how things has progressed from this region.
So I have a lot of questions sent for of the production of Flow Games.
Yeah.
They want to know a lot of things about you. So I'll start with this one, I think is on the topic. In 2025, some of the most successful games were Blueprints, a game made by one person. And then we have the Clair Obscure, a game that, although AA, has a very high production and quality value. Do you think AA games are going back to have space in the industry? And you even commented that Japan studios have closed due to the lack of interest in those games.
Well, indie games has always been relevant, always been popular. And Blueprints and Expedition 33 are great example of games that come out and amaze people from developers from all over the world. And even, just for the last 4 months this year, there are many more, great indie games have come out. Games like Bionic Bay or Promise Mascot Agency. Sony Interactive Entertainment was looking for games that push the hardware, PlayStation. They are specifically looking for, big titles like AAA titles that sell, people buy hardware for these games. So, even though Japan studio are making really great quality games, but they are making, smaller titles like AA titles. So there's a misfit between in my mind, in my understanding, from what the, company, Sony Interactive Entertainment was looking for, and what the Japan studio was able to produce. So that's, I believe, was part of the reason that the Japan studio was eventually shut down. So it was not the lack of interest from people in the world. It was more like a misfit between the, strategy of company, Sony Interactive Entertainment, and the, kind of games that Japan studio was producing.
We are seeing more and more stuff like this you're saying, like the big companies want only the big money, right? They want to sell, like Clair Obscure sold 1 million in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's not enough for the huge publishers, right? We are seeing more and more, like the last 5 years, a lot of companies fail hard with some games, like Suicide Squad, like Concord, and all live service games as well. And we are seeing more and more remasters and remakes instead of new games, and we are seeing these games fail. Do you think this from PlayStation do this as well? Do you think this strategy is going the wrong way? That there's not enough money for everybody go for this live service, huge, profitable games, or is it possible as well?
Well, I think these companies, big companies investing in, big live service games know the risk of, going into that genre because, when they're successful live service games, people just continue to play. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really difficult to, break through with a new IP in this genre. But because of when a game is successful in that genre, the reward is huge. So that's why, knowing the risk, big companies keep investing in these titles. So, it's not like, a wrong strategy. It's just a chosen strategy by these companies.
Yeah, but when Concord failed big. Yeah. And that is what a huge loss for Sony. And we said that they lost time as well because they didn't have other launches because they thought Concord were going to be a huge success. We here, players, think that if you still were in the front of this, this wouldn't happen. What do you think you would make different in this situation?
No. Yeah, it was a company strategy. Yeah. I understand to get into the live service games. So I was not the right person to manage the studios. So there's no what ifs. Yeah. Yeah, because it was company's directions. Yes. Yeah, it was not like studio side direction in my understanding. So if I were there, I would have to, because I was a company person. Yes. I would try into live service games. Yeah, but because that was the company strategy.
The company strategy, and you after you leave the first party studios, it was a shame. I didn't think you should have left, but Sony decided. You went to the indie front, right, for a while, and after 30 years now you left. You said in other interviews that you have left because of one of the reasons why was this shift the way that Sony pursued games. Do you still think that or do you think you didn't have the place anymore in PlayStation? Because I think it was a huge loss for PlayStation.
Well, the reason I left PlayStation it was. I was working with lots of people in the company, Sony Interactive Entertainment, who are promoting indie games. I'm trying to find the new indie games and strike a deal with indie publishers for some exclusive titles and trying to feature great indie games on the store front. And after 5 years working with these people, I was confident that the people at Sony Interactive Entertainment would be able to continue to push, indie titles. So, hopefully, after I left, I believe that there will be no change in the company direction to support these games. So I do not anticipate any change, since I left, PlayStation. My goal was to make my role as head of this initiative irrelevant, redundant, because there are so many great people in the company who will be able to do the job.
We're talking about the live services and how companies expect something about this. So I want to talk about the cost of produce a game. Games are very expensive. We have Nintendo. One of the major companies increased the price for $80 a game. Do you think it's justifiable?
Well, compared to any other consumer products, the price of games have stayed, about the same for a long, long time. So, and because of the capacity of the hardware, developers can create even bigger and better games. So that's a reason, the companies have been investing more more money to produce same, one game. So I think it's reasonable for, companies who believe in the value of the product to be able to charge, different pricing from what people may consider the standard price. Because in my mind, the standard price happened, from the days that physical disc-based products was, major. But now the digital distribution is a major part of the industry. People buy games digitally more than physically. Yes. So, I think each publisher can decide their own, product, what value each product can produce, and, charge the right price for them to consumers.
Do you think that you will come back to this big industry sometime to work with this huge publishers? Do you think you see yourself working with these companies again?
Well, after I left PlayStation, I've been advising indie publishers and indie developers. And so I'm very busy. I'm busier now than when I was with PlayStation. I'm working very closely with the indie publisher and indie developer side. So looking at games, in development or the game pitches from developers, and evaluate them and sometimes give feedback to them. So, I've been essentially doing the similar kind of work as I was doing during PlayStation days for the last 5 years. But I'm doing it on the other side. I'm working with the publishers. So I'm very excited to be able to work on games like games on Nintendo platform or a Microsoft platform or of course PC platform. Yeah.
And talking about Microsoft, now Microsoft's strategy is focusing in service. How do you see this strategy? And do you think PlayStation has something to learn with Game Pass or something like that?
Yeah. I think each company has different approach to their strategy, and clearly, like you said, Microsoft, the center of strategy seems to be the Game Pass. So it's very, very healthy for different companies, chasing different, strategies, and we can, learn with each other from different approaches that each company does. Like Nintendo launching, new hardware platform Switch 2, and they are introducing some, new features with them. So, other companies should be able to learn from what Nintendo is going to do this year as well.
And the multi-platform factor, because now we have some exclusive titles of Microsoft releasing on Sony's console. What do you think? This is healthy too?
Well, I think they had to do it because the number of, install base of Xbox hardware is smaller. So, in order for them to keep making large-sized games, they have to go multi-platform. It's just a matter of economy. So it's just reasonable for them to go multi-platform.
Yeah, everybody makes a lot of money this way.
Yeah, well, Microsoft, I understand, is the biggest publisher on PlayStation platform.
Yes. Something about the launch of PS4.
Yeah.
Because there is a legendary video that you made with Adam Boyce, you remember? And we watch that all the time, okay? It is simply amazing.
Yeah.
Because at that time, Xbox was doing a lot of questionable choices about its hardware. And a lot of people thought that Sony would go the same way. And everybody were really scared about that conference in E3. And then I think it was Jack Tretton that announced that there wasn't, okay, Jack Tretton, nothing about that. And then you posted with other boys about how to land a video. What was that idea to make that? How was it?
The idea was Adam Boyce.
Oh, yeah, I thought
so. So, he came up with the idea the day before the E3 keynote. And because we are there to do rehearsal, so he brought a copy of, package of Killzone Shadowfall and suggested, how about, doing this video? Because we are all aware, like you said, that after Microsoft's announcement of, requiring like an internet connection and all the steps that, people have to go through to like, share games, we anticipate there will be lots of questions from the industry, press people and consumers about the PlayStation strategy. So Adam's idea was very good in terms of being able to communicate our strategy in a very short and succinct manner. So we decided, let's do it. So we filmed the video in a couple of hours time and edited and posted the next day.
Yeah, so we here, we think that this E3, this moment with PS4 was what made you basically win the generation in the beginning, and then do you in PlayStation 4 that too, like all the mistakes that Microsoft had in the announcement of Xbox One, and how you conduct the strategy in the beginning with PS4 to be so dominant in this generation?
Well, we had our own strategy in terms of hardware, and we just did what we planned to do. And in terms of platform, we created the hardware that's much more easier for developers to make games on. And the hardware team came up with some new features that we, the studio sides, have involved in making, like create a dedicated button to share button, so that everybody, game player, can become the streamer, like just pressing the button on DualShock 4. And I like to think that our first party titles during the PS4 generation also helped the success of PS4 as well. So I don't think it was just a Microsoft strategy that made PlayStation 4 successful.
We see that in the PS4 era, Sony had a lot of huge first-party games that sold a lot, and we saw Horizon that was right now is one of the biggest first-party games from Sony, and it's relatively new. How is the process of the studios come up with a game? They had to talk to you and present that and say, this is going to, and you have to approve. How is that process of making these huge budget games when you were lead of the studios?
Yeah, it was studios who came up with the idea, and we had the internal process to that what we used to call green light process to approve the products.
You said in another interview that you saw a project that you knew that wasn't going to work, and you sometimes need to say to the developer that wasn't going to happen. That was part of the process as well.
Absolutely, yeah. There are so many pitches, we didn't go forward, and there are many projects that we stopped after like a prototype phase, and there are a couple of examples that we stopped even after the project went into the full production.
Because you see that it wasn't going to be successful.
Right. We always look at the games in development to think about the money and time that we have to spend to complete this title compared to the our guess of how the game will do after the launch.
With your baggage in industry, do you think there's something that you have done should be done differently?
Well, yeah, there are many games we stopped development. So every time I cancel the project, I wish we knew better. Well, we had to try, but we hope the game would work better than it happened. So, but it's really hard to anticipate, because we always wanted to try some new ideas.
So you are with PlayStation since the first one, right? So you saw all this generation cycle. How is it that when you launch a new console like a PS4 or PS5, how much time until you are thinking of the next one and try to prepare? Because you have to prepare for the future. You have to predict the future in terms of hardware and stuff. How is it was?
Oh yeah, so the cycle of developing hardware, especially the core chips like a CPU, GPU, takes long time. So usually as soon as the new hardware launches, these teams, hardware teams start working on the preparation for the next generation. And the other part of the company joined later in the process.
Because you saw like PS4 has some first-party games on the launch. You have to align the development of the studios with the launch of the console to make it go as well as possible.
Yeah. So, the games takes long time as well, 3, 4 years or 5 years. So, we typically start making, games in anticipation of the launch of new hardware 3 or 4 years in advance. And we'd like to hit some of these games at the launch of new hardware.
So how are you seeing we are having right now a lot of remasters and remakes, like a lot.
Yeah.
How do you think this is for the industry? Is it good? Is it bad? So
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great for the, game preservation. And in many cases, these games, remastered games are the better version of the original games. So the fans of these games, can try the better version. And, more importantly, the new, players can try these games for the first time. So I think it's a great thing for the companies to bring back, these games in newer hardware, and better format, like a better resolution, a better, frame rate. And, I get, tweets from many people asking for, can you remaster this title, or can you create a new game for this IP, all the time. And for the company, making remasters is much cheaper than developing a brand new title. So I think it's a really good way for the companies to bring back these, good games to the new audience, at the same time to giving the platform for the, if successful, future iteration of these franchise. For one example, I worked on games, called Crash Bandicoot. And when, Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3 were remastered, a lot more people tried Crash Bandicoot for the first time because games were only available on, PS1 format. So, that we excited lots of players for this, IP. So I think it's in general a good thing.
And we are seeing these remasters, and PlayStation is putting their games on PC as well.
Yeah.
And you said in another occasion that putting the games on PCs is just money that you have to make.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just money, because PC games are played on slightly different regions, like China or Russia or, like Latin America. I understand that PC games are more popular than console games. Yeah, so for the IPs that were popular on consoles, brought to PCs, will be able to reach the new audience. And when those people like these games IP, when the new games of the series come out on console, they might be, compelled to the new console to play the new game. So I think it has, to benefit, not just, earning, more, money, but be able to reach the new audience.
Right now that you are on this with the indie companies, and you can say about some games that you are working on, or is it secrets?
Oh no, I'm advisor for these publishers. So I could talk about the game that publishers are working on. Like I'm advising Kepler Interactive, and they just published a game called Expedition 33.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really high quality game,
amazing.
and we are very excited how well the game was received. The another game they published this year was Bionic Bay. It's a beautiful game from the creator of Badlands. Badlands was very popular on iOS when the game came out. So it's a very beautiful action platformer. So that's another game from Kepler Interactive. And the another big game coming out from the publisher is called Rematch. It's a 5-on-5 football game.
Yeah.
And they've been doing beta testing and already have generated lots of excitement from people. So I'm looking forward to seeing the game to launch.
Great to know that you are involved in this project, because a project that people are really looking forward. Rematch was a huge success in this beta because Sifu was great as well.
Yeah, the same developer.
Yeah, and the same developer of Sifu. You talk about Chinese and Korean games. There are now they are having huge investments. Like Black Myth Wukong last year was a huge game. Do you see this market growing more than the Western market, or you think it was going to be something that takes more time there?
There are so many amazing games now being developed by developers in China and South Korea. They have kind of waken up, because their focus have been massively multiplayer games or service games on mobile, and their target was the Asian market, especially Chinese market. But once Chinese government made it really difficult for new games to be released, they started looking outside Asian region, and when they saw the global market, they saw the importance of PC and console platforms. So they started working on these games, and we are very lucky to be able to help some of these developers under project we called China Hero Project under PlayStation. And now, there are so many high quality titles coming out from China and South Korea. And I think this trend will just continue.
With your busy agenda, do you have time to play some games now? What are you playing? I'm playing lots of games in development. Yeah, and like this year's amazing game, Blueprints. I played a lot, last year when we are looking at the game, and I was convinced this game is gonna be huge when it comes out. And so I tend to play games in development and not necessarily after the games, come out. But games like Blueprints, because it's so good, I like to, play it, after the game came out. So
are you excited of the Nintendo Switch 2 launch?
Yeah.
You think it'd be good for the industry? This
absolutely,
new,
yeah. Every time a new platform launches, it creates a new excitement and a new generation of games being published on these platforms. So it's great for the industry.
Is there any project that you're particularly proud of being part of? I mean, something that you look at and, oh, I was part of that one.
Yeah, there's so many. There are so many projects I feel proud of. And, I always talk about, a game called Journey that I was so fortunate to be a part of supporting the development of that game. That's a beautiful game that created really new kind of excitement for the indie, size games. And the last game I was involved as a first party was Ghost of Tsushima. And, the new game from Sucker Punch coming out this year, Ghost of Yote. So I'm so excited to play the game, when it comes out.
And you said that you have played Ghost.
Yeah.
And you said it was great at the time that you played, so it must be better right now.
I'm sure, the game was already great when I played, a couple of years ago. Yeah, so when the game comes out, it will not, disappoint people.
Thank you so much, Yoshida, for being here with us. I hope you enjoy Brazil and you have fun here at GAMESCOM. Thank you, GAMESCOM, for that as well. Obrigado a todo mundo que assistiu, galera. Comente aqui o que vocês acharam. Thanks again, Yoshida-san. It was amazing having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.